Hello and welcome to the second in the series of what I'm calling story snippets. And this is part two of my What Do You Want to Do When You Grow Up story. Now, in the first part, I talked about how concerned I was about the difficulty that teenagers have making this decision, and I talked about the first story or the first thing that I crossed off my list of what I wanted to do when I grew up. So now on to part two. At one point in my life, I thought I might want to be a scientist. And that's because I loved chemistry. Loved chemistry. It was so interesting. You could mix things together and they'd make a nasty smell, or they'd make it'd go hot, or it would go cold, or it would fizz, and it was just great. And that still kind of fascinates me. You know, when you put Aspro Clear or whatever into a glass and it all fizzes up and causes the carbon dioxide, or you use one of those heat packs where you break the little pouch and it gets hot, and I always think, oh gosh, that's so cool. I wonder how that does that. So one day in chemistry class, we were actually talking about any of us who wanted to be a scientist. And I put my hand up and said, yeah, I think it'd be good to be a scientist. Anyway, when the class started working, my science teacher, dear science teacher, Mrs. Sutton, she was another one who was extremely kind to me and never wanted to crush my spirit. She took me outside. She said, look, come for a walk with me. So we went outside, and it was one of those classic Canberra winter days. You know, there'd been a frost. It was still quite chilly, but the sun was really brightly shining, and it was a beautiful day. And we went out and we sat on one of those old-fashioned schoolyard wooden benches. And she said, oh, you know, Amanda, she said, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of everything that you've achieved over the last, 3 years in science. You know, you've tried stuff that, we didn't think you could do, and you've done all sorts of stuff, and I'm so proud of you. And I thought, oh, this is very nice, but why have you taken me outside to tell me this? And then she took my hand and she said, look, but I really don't think you can be a scientist, and please don't be upset, but I really don't think you can be a scientist. And I said, why is that? And she said, well, the experiments they do are much more complicated than the ones that we're doing in class, and you won't have your itinerant teacher there to help you measure things, and the chemicals they use are so much stronger, and I really don't think at this point in time that you could be a scientist when you grow up. So I crossed that one off the list. I wasn't too concerned about that. It was just a thought that had popped into my head. Oh, I could be a scientist. That could be fun. But poor dear Mrs. Sutton, I think she thought I was going to be heartbroken. But, that's okay. And nowadays, if I wanted to go back and retrain, I could be a scientist, because now there's blind scientists out there. They've got all these measuring, talking, braille, computerized measuring things, and it's all really very cool. So I could do that if I wanted to, but I don't. So, as I said before, if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, PM me and I can help you find out.